Welcome back to another installment of Replay or Reject, PlayStation Classic Edition. Just a quick recap, I'm giving each game on the PlayStation Classic 1 hour to win me over. After that hour, I'll make my determination on whether the game would be worth replaying in the future, or if it will get added to my ever-growing list of reject games that I never want to play again. There's only one game on this list that I've actually beaten before. The rest of them either I have barely played, never played, or never even heard of. Well, that's enough preamble, so let's get to it. Here we go, another game that I think of when I think PlayStation. Metal Gear Solid. I've never played any of the Metal Gear games, but at least it's one of the franchises that I've at least heard of. I've just never really been a huge fan of stealth games because they require patience, and patience just isn't a virtue that I possess. After like 5 seconds of waiting in the shadows, my ADD kicks in.
Plastic bag, plastic bag, plastic bag, plastic bag, plastic bag, plastic bag.
But then again, this one is one of the most popular series in the genre, so it should be one of the best. As I load the game, we also get that pop-up about how to switch discs on the console, so I'm guessing this is a pretty long game. Right off the bat, we get a movie-quality introduction here. Graphically, it's pretty good, but I'm talking also about the cinematography and the voiceover. Like, I'm genuinely impressed. I like how they put some of the acronyms in the parentheses too. That's a nice touch because it allows for the dialogue to be more realistic between the characters who would know what they mean, but also lets the player know what they're talking about. We're also given the names of what I'm assuming are the bosses. Even, again, without ever playing the series, I do recognize some of these character names like Psycho Mantis, Sniper Wolf, Ocelot.
Totally awesome, sweet Alabama liquid snake.
Getting to the main menu, and what's this? A training mode? Well, hot dog, this game actually takes the time to teach you how to play instead of just trying to blindly figure out everything on your own. There's 10 stages, breaking down the basics and going over the controls and mechanics in small bite-sized areas. One of the other things I noticed immediately is that the game does not have tank controls. Thank God. Into the actual game, it started with another fantastically directed cutscene. They even have credits rolling in the beginning, so that makes it even more movie-like. We take stuff like that for granted nowadays, but this was the first gaming era where we started having legitimate cutscenes in games, and the vast majority of them were perfectly serviceable for the time, but haven't aged well.
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
Okay, enough fangirling over the cutscenes. Getting into the actual gameplay, I go to put the skills I learned in training mode to use, and immediately get spotted. Luckily though, it's not an instant game over, as I'm then able to just take out the guards. I like that. I get making stealth a priority, but at least it's not an automatic L if you're seen. Maybe later in the game it is, but it's still early and I'm still learning. In the next area, I'm given 2 different options on how to get into the facility, which is cool. Right off the bat, the game's allowing me to choose how I want to play it. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a mostly linear-ish story, and so the game throwing in a little bit of choice here and there is a great way to still add some replayability. I make my way super stealthily around this guard who is apparently napping on the job, and I make my way into the vents. I'm then told to follow the rats to get my way out. I am getting a lot of radio calls so far, which hopefully becomes less frequent as the game goes on, but at least for now they're doing a good job of continuing to teach me the game mechanics while still maintaining some level of immersion. It's a nice touch rather than just having text bubbles pop up. I get to the elevator and make my way up to where one of my targets is. After a short walk, back into the vents I go. I'm starting to think this is going to be a common thing in this game. Crawling around, we're able to stop and spy on some dude taking a dump.
You think there's some perv coming in here to watch me make?
Hey Snake, you do you. No kink shaming here. We also find some chick working on her abs, as well as our DARPA chief. Me personally, I would have been dropping down into the cell with the hot redhead, But Snake has a mission to complete, so I guess we'll save the Chief. After a few more minutes of story exposition, we're given our next objective to collect some key cards. The Chief hands us his and then looks to have magically had a heart attack right in front of us.
What's wrong?
You know that feeling you get when 1,000 knives of fire are stabbing you in the heart? I got that right now.
Either that is just really bad timing for him, or something else caused it. He did mention Psycho Mantis again and said he has psychic powers, so I'm not familiar enough with the series to know how grounded in reality this game is. But that definitely piqued my curiosity if he somehow has the ability to cause physical pain to people. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it. After that, there's a scuffle out in the hallway and our door opens. Then as we step out, we're held at gunpoint by what I'm assuming is the little redhead girl from the next cell over. And this is where my playthrough ended. I couldn't quite figure out the gun controls and I kept dying almost immediately. And then one time I did at least kill the initial wave of enemies, but then got gunned down by their reinforcements. I was obviously doing something wrong, and since it was right before my hour was going to be up, I just saved and called it quits there. I wasn't going to make it too much further anyway, so that seemed like a good stopping point. Before I quit the game though, I did jump back into the main menu for a couple minutes just to check out what those other options I saw earlier were. There's a briefing section that gives you some story information, and again, top-notch production quality here. There's not a lot in here yet, but I'm assuming that more appears as you progress to fill in more of the story gaps.
You're not my supervisor!
In the special menu, it also gives a summary of the previous two games, which is nice. I've never played those either, and most likely never will, as those were OG Nintendo games that probably don't hold up too well. I'm assuming there's more that will show up in the special menu too as the game progresses, but I guess I'll just have to wait to find out. Without a doubt, this one's the best game on the classic so far, and this is a definite replay. I haven't really accomplished much yet, since there was a lot of interruptions between the cinematics and the radio sections. I'm not sure if the whole game is like that, or if it's just front-loading all the exposition and mechanics and stuff at the beginning. Either way, it kept my attention, and as long as the story is good, I don't mind a cutscene-heavy game. Everything also sounds really good. The voices, sound effects, music, everything. None of it sounded compressed or choppy like some of the other games I've played so far. I'll definitely need to brush up on the controls a little bit more, but if I can get those down, I'm assuming I'll like this game. I think part of the trouble I was having with the controls is actually due to the fact that I kept expecting them to be tank controls even though they're not. So even though this game does have a better control scheme, the muscle memory is kicking in and screwing me over. So yeah, all in all, Metal Gear Solid seems like a solid game.